how do you earn money with Clubhouse, or how do you grow your business with Clubhouse? Besides the following that you get and the connections and the collaborations and the content creations and 100 more benefits, there's 3 ways that I'm using to grow on Clubhouse that works very well. So number 1, how can you grow your Instagram following on Clubhouse? Clubhouse is an extreme amplifier when it comes to growing your Instagram following. I get 100 plus DMs per day. And how do I do that? How do I get 100 plus or sometimes hundreds of DMs per day? I will share with you right now. So today I will share with you guys 3 principles that you can use, 3 techniques that you can use on Clubhouse to grow your business. And so I'm going to do a presentation first. This will take like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then after the 20, 25 minutes or maybe 30 minutes, we go from Zoom to a room. So we will all get a room today on Clubhouse, one room with the Genius Network. And so 30 minutes on Zoom. And then I think most of you guys have the correct link for the room. It's in the Facebook group. Maybe somebody from the team could put it in the chat so we can put the link in the chat. So then after 20, 30 minutes, we will move on from this Zoom to a Clubhouse room. And what we're going to do in the Clubhouse room is, if you have any questions, you can ask those questions on Clubhouse. But be aware that it's not just Genius Network. We will be on stage. So most of us will be on stage in the Clubhouse room. But like my followers on Clubhouse, they will be able to listen in. So this is a great way to also promote the Genius Network. So just be aware that anything that you share during the room after 30 minutes on Clubhouse, that it's public. So that's what we're going to do in 20, 30 minutes. So I'll start the presentation right now. So what I noticed since I've been on Clubhouse is I've had more conversations than ever before, because usually I done 3 seminars. Oops, somebody is unmuted. I don't know who, but if the team can help it out, that would be great. So there's more conversation than ever before. I used to do like 3 or 4 seminars per year. Those were the days that I would connect with my audience. Now I'm connecting with my audience on a daily basis. There are more connections than ever before, and it changed everything for me. It's really crazy what happened in the last couple of weeks. So just to give you an example, on the left you see my Instagram. And on Instagram I had, this is like 2 weeks ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago maybe, I had 20.2 thousand followers. So 20,000 followers. And on Clubhouse at the same time, I also had 20.2 thousand followers. The difference between Instagram on the left and Clubhouse on the right is that for Instagram, it took me almost 8 years. So almost 8 years to grow to 20,000 followers. The difference between Instagram and Clubhouse is that the 20,000 followers that I have on Clubhouse took me 33 days. So it's a difference between almost 8 years and 33 days. And it's extraordinary how fast you can grow on Clubhouse. So it's not just about the numbers, because I could talk for hours about how it impacts me, and I won't do that right now here. I'll just share the main points with you, but it changed everything for me. I'll also teach you or share with you how you can earn money with this. So especially if you're a coach, or maybe you're an author, maybe you do seminars or challenges, maybe you do webinars, maybe you do Zoom sessions, maybe you're like a guru, or you do podcasting, maybe you sell online courses or memberships, video training or audio training. This is very interesting for all of us. So what is Clubhouse exactly? I tell a lot of people that you can compare it to Bitcoin. I mean, it's not the same as Bitcoin, but right now Clubhouse is almost like weeks old. For me, it's like weeks old. I've been on it for 6 weeks and 3 days now. And I've been active for 6 weeks and 3 days, I must say. And Clubhouse now is almost a year old. And why do I compare it to Bitcoin? If we could get into Bitcoin 10 years ago, that would be a total game changer. Right now with Clubhouse, you can get into Clubhouse and you can ride that wave. Nobody knows what it's gonna be. Same with Bitcoin. Nobody exactly knows for 100%. But I know one thing for certain. the functionality of Clubhouse is here to stay. So the functionality, what I mean by that, the feature is audio only. So you communicate audio only. You have a stage. People can enter the stage. They can have a conversation with you. And you can have 10 people listening, 100 people listening, 5,000 people listening. So it's super intimate. It's audio only. It's an amazing functionality. So I don't know if Clubhouse will be here to stay, but maybe Facebook will create a function, maybe Instagram, maybe Twitter, maybe there will be a new app. Facebook, before there was Facebook, there was MySpace. Before there was MySpace, there was Friendster. So nobody knows, but this functionality is definitely here to stay. So I have a confession to make. And the confession is the following. I put a post in our Facebook group on January 5th. And this post was, I deleted the Clubhouse app. So I downloaded the Clubhouse app on December 31st, 2020. And then 5 days later, I was like, screw it. I'm not going to deal with this whole Clubhouse thing because it takes too much of my time and too much of my focus. But I obviously changed my mind because now I'm sharing these principles with you. So, and maybe I can share later why I made that decision. So it's audio only. It's 100% live. It's like you can do a seminar on Clubhouse. I'm doing a seminar every day on Clubhouse. You can have group conversations like the Genius Network. You can do Q&As. The more creative that you are, the more options there are. So in the first week, or maybe after 2 weeks, I decided to test something. I decided to do a room where I was teaching about webinars, and I decided to close during the room. So I'm doing a lot of webinars. I've been doing webinars since 2008. And I decided, let me try if I could actually close during a room. And I decided to do this. I had 141 people live. Maybe at that time I had 1,000 followers, maybe 2,000, I don't know. But out of the 141 people, I had 51 sales during a Clubhouse room. And this is crazy. These people, they're all free participants. I didn't advertise for it. It's shorter than a webinar. It took me like 45 minutes total. It has higher conversions than a webinar. And people say that I'm half man, half webinar. Well, now I'm half webinar, half Clubhouse. It's amazing. But again, it's not just about the money. For me, I just made the switch. I understood that this could change everything for me. And it's still early now. Like we're still in the beginning of Clubhouse. It doesn't even, if you have Android, you can't even access it yet. Like it's going to grow and it's going to grow and it's going to grow. And it's already served me in the following ways. So if you sell knowledge in any way whatsoever, this is what it is meant for me. I'm getting to know 100 times more people, literally. Like I'm talking to a lot of people on a daily basis in a very effective way. It's like a seminar, but daily. There's little or no preparation. You just push the button and you're live. It's free. And there's a lot of new people that are joining. I have a lot of new people outside of my world that actually are following me right now that I would never access on other social media platforms. So people started to really know me. So what you do is you make an impact. Magical moments arise on Clubhouse. Like there's so many beautiful moments that happen. The same with Genius Network. Like it's not just about the content. It's about those magical moments that you have with people around you. Another benefit is my Instagram following is growing faster than ever before. My DM is exploding. Like I'm getting hundreds of DMs every day. And I've become a content machine. So what I do is every room that I'm doing, I'm recording it separately on a video, on an iPhone video on iPhone. So I'm creating a lot of content. As many of you know, I started a challenge for 2021 to create 221 videos. And I was like, how am I going to do that? It was a big issue. Not an issue, but something that I've been thinking about, like, how am I going to do this? Now it's simple. I just click record on my iPhone. I record the video whenever I'm teaching, whenever I'm on Clubhouse, and boom, I got a video. So I became a content machine. 221 videos, I think is going to be 1,000 videos this year. I'm already at like 70 or 80 videos. So it's become so much easier. Also, I have a daily sense of accomplishments, and I inspire several target groups that I normally would not reach. And it's very great because it doesn't matter if you have a Corona haircut, if you can't get a haircut because the barbershop is closed, because it's audio only, so people don't see you. Collaborations is very easy. I'm collaborating now with big names. This is Ryan Babel. He's a famous Dutch soccer player. These are influencers with millions of followers. This is one of the biggest influencers in Holland, and this is a collection of a lot of big influencers. In the past, if I would send them a DM, like, could you do an interview or podcast, it would be difficult. Now it's just send a DM. Can you go? Yeah, let's go. So it's very easy to do collaborations. And also, I'm the coolest dad ever. So my daughter, she's 8 years old, and she sees me now with influencers, people that she's watching on YouTube and all that stuff. So that's a lot of fun as well. And also sweatpants all day, every day. No need to suit up. You can just have your sweatpants or your shorts, whatever, and you can just do your thing. Another benefit of Clubhouse is there's no hate, because people can't put a nasty comment. They can't dislike you. It's audio to audio. It's just a lot of love, and I have not had one bad experience on Clubhouse since the start that I've been on it. You can also showcase your expertise, and your authority status is going through the roof. Trust has suddenly become next level because the people really get to know you. Clubhouse is an amazing exposure of who you really are, and the growth is there now. And it's super fun, easy, audio is easy, and creativity is very well rewarded. So this is important. Should you do the same as I'm doing? I don't think you should do the same as I'm doing. Should you compare yourself to me or anybody else with a large following? I wouldn't do that. Do I have a lot of techniques that apply and really work? Yes. And I'm going to share with you 3 tips for earning money through Clubhouse or growing your business through Clubhouse. So how do you earn money with Clubhouse, or how do you grow your business with Clubhouse? Besides the following that you get and the connections and the collaborations and the content creations and 100 more benefits, there's 3 ways that I'm using to grow on Clubhouse that works very well. So number 1, how can you grow your Instagram following on Clubhouse? Clubhouse is an extreme amplifier when it comes to growing your Instagram following. I get 100 plus DMs per day. And how do I do that? How do I get 100 plus or sometimes hundreds of DMs per day? I will share with you right now. So I call this the power of code words. So what do I mean with the power of code words? I have a list of giveaways, things that I can give away for free. So for example, you see, let me put this here. For example, I've been to Necker Island a couple of times. It's the private island of Sir Richard Branson. Whenever I talk during a room about Richard Branson or about my experience on Necker Island, during the room, I can use a code word. And what is it? What do I mean by that? I have an ebook that I give away for free where I share my notes, my Necker notes, the things that I learned on Necker Island. So, for example, if I'm talking about Richard Branson, what I can say during the room is I can say, by the way, if you would like to have access to my ebook for free, just send me a DM on Instagram. Just follow me on Instagram and send me a DM on Instagram with the code word Necker, or when it's in English, with the code word Richard. So then like 100 people send me a DM with the code word Necker, and then we reply with the link to the opt-in page, and then we get them on our list. Our list has been exploding with very, very, very hot leads. It's not just like a Facebook ad and you get somebody on your email list. No, they really listen to you during a Clubhouse room. Then they go to your Instagram and then they get on your list, and that's super, super valuable. So that's what we do with code words. And I have a long list of code words that I can use at every room. Instagram DM is super native on Clubhouse because in the profiles, there's a clickable link to Instagram. And that's the way that people communicate outside of Clubhouse. So I'd highly recommend you using Instagram DM to grow your following there and to get them eventually off Clubhouse and off Instagram onto your mailing list. So that's the first strategy that's working amazingly well.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
The second one is, I call it a clubinar, and I talked about this a little bit earlier. A clubinar is simply like a webinar. A webinar is live with video and PowerPoint like this. But Clubhouse is sort of similar. It's a live stream, but there's no video. It's just audio only. So what you can do is you can do a clubinar. During your clubinar, you can do what you would usually do on a webinar, but there's no slides, which is fine. And then you can close them to your offer or maybe to a one-on-one strategy call or whatever it is. So you can actually do webinars on Clubhouse, and I call them clubinars. But important, find a great balance with this. So for example, I do a clubinar every other 2 weeks. So I do maybe 14 rooms per week, maybe more. So every 2 weeks, so I'll do like 30 or 40 rooms, and one room I'm actually closing. So you need to have a right balance because you want to offer a lot of value. You don't want to sell all the time. So it really works, and we get a lot of sales out of it, and it's easy. I did one yesterday. It's super easy, and it's a lot of fun. And the third strategy is grow your mailing list with Clubhouse. So how do you do this? And I sort of explained already. Like, these are the warmest opt-ins that you will ever get, like hot leads. So this is how it works. You have a Clubhouse room. So you do the Clubhouse room, you get a lot of people live, or maybe 20 people live, could be as well. And then during your room, you tell them, send me a DM with a certain word, with a code word. Send me a DM. So in this case, it's a Dutch word. It's called meesterlijk, which is masterful or something like that. And if they send that word, then we reply with a text and we send them to the opt-in page. They click the link and then they go to the opt-in page, and boom, we got somebody on our mailing list. It's that simple. So again, you have a room, you tell them, send me a DM, then you reply and they go to your mailing list or your opt-in page, and then they fill in their name and email address, and boom, you get them on your list. So this is a message, it's Dutch message. You wouldn't understand a word probably, except for Edwin. But this from our webmaster, and he was like, and he sent me a link with a screenshot of our new leads that are coming, and he was like, wow, this is really exploding, and it's all because of Clubhouse. So it really works. So this is what you need. On Clubhouse, you need rooms that are hot. What do I mean by that? Rooms that are super valuable and people loving your rooms, and they stick around in your room because you offer so much value. Then be consistent and have a consistent growth of followers. I'm at 28 or 29,000 now within 6 weeks, which is insane. And then you need to find ways to make money with it. And usually what you do is just get them off Clubhouse into your current funnel. That's a great strategy. So you can grow your business. And for me, Clubhouse is the perfect catalyst. It makes everything better. So I just want to show you the big picture, and then we'll move on to slowly we'll move on to Clubhouse. So this is the big picture. If you want to grow, and you all get access to these slides or to this video, so you can rewatch it as often as you would like. But this is the big picture. So for example, because if you have to start from scratch, this is what I would do, and this is what I've been doing. So for example, in your Instagram bio, promote your next room. If you schedule a room on Clubhouse, you will get a link that you can share, just as we have a room scheduled in 11 minutes on Clubhouse. So if you schedule it up front, then they will give you a link, and that link you can promote. So put it in your Instagram bio. So you might get like 2 or 3 people in your room just from your Instagram bio, or maybe 20 or maybe 200. I don't know. Also, promote it to your list. So you promote it to your list and you get some more people in your room. And then you will do your room. And you can also do it on LinkedIn, and you can do it on Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever, text message, however you want to promote your first couple of rooms. What happens is when you promote your rooms, you'll have a room with more people. If somebody enters your room, so for example, I'm hosting a room, and Babs is entering the room and she gets on stage. If Babs has, for example, 100 followers, her 100 followers, or a portion of those 100 followers, they will get a message like, hey, Babs is online with Eelco. So why is these first steps important? Why do you need to promote your room outside of Clubhouse? Or why that could be a good idea is to have some people in the room, and then the followers of those people in the room, they will get a mention like, hey, he or she is in the room. That way, you will get new people, fresh new people into your room that maybe never heard of you. So you'll get more people that follow you, and from there on, again, what I've been teaching in the last couple of minutes, when they're in your room, you tell them, follow me on Instagram, send me a DM on Instagram. Then they will get to your email address, their opt-in page, and they will enter their name and email address. and then you will send them emails, for example, and then you will make money. That's the blueprint that we use on Clubhouse. So again, we promote it on different platforms, especially in the beginning. I don't do that as often anymore because I now have traction on Clubhouse. But you need to push your first couple of rooms so you get more people in the room. Other people start following you. Then from there on, the new people, you want to get them to your Instagram, send a DM, get to the opt-in page, and then you send them emails, for example, to your through your current funnel, and then you will make money from Clubhouse. So this is the perfect snowball effect if you do it well. Clubhouse is in early stages. It only just exists for a short amount of time. I'm starting to master it, to be honest. I'm really on it. I take it very seriously, but I also have a lot of fun with it, and everything is growing, so it's very amazing. It's truly exceptional. And what we're doing right now is I will not answer your questions. So I won't answer your questions on Zoom. What we're going to do is we're going to answer questions on Clubhouse. So all of you guys, you have access to the link, and I think Eunice already put this in the chat. Let me put the chat here. Wait.
Yes.
So we'll start the room. Yes, perfect. So I see it. It only works if you click the link on your iPhone, obviously, if you have an iPhone or an iPad. And it's also in the Facebook group, the link. So we'll move over there in a couple of minutes. If you have any questions right now about how we're going to do that in the next couple of minutes, maybe you have some insecurities or whatever, like how does this work? You can ask those questions right now. But really the questions about Clubhouse itself, like technique, strategy, stuff like that, you can ask those during the room that we're hosting in a couple of minutes. And also what I would like to do is I would like to bring all of the Genius Network members, if you want to, on stage. So we have a good stage of Genius Network members. I will also make a lot of you a moderator. And then we might also be able to answer some questions from the regular people, from the people that are outside of Genius Network, and maybe inspire them to follow Joe or Genius Network or whatever. So I scheduled 30 minutes for this, 30 minutes for a Clubhouse, but if it's okay, we can probably move on a little bit longer. If you're on stage and you want to leave the stage, don't think that it's rude to leave the stage. You can just press the button, leave quietly, and we won't think that you are rude because you're leaving the stage. So that's one thing. Mute your mic when you get on stage. So when you're on stage, mute your mic. Otherwise, we have a lot of background audio. And yeah, we're just gonna have some fun with it. If you have questions during the room, just ask the question, and we'll just play with it a little bit. And hopefully, you will be inspired to look at Clubhouse from a different way. Again, I downloaded Clubhouse on December 31st. I played with it for a couple of days. I was in Curacao with my family, and I noticed how addicting it was. And after a couple of days, I was like, nah, I want to create assets. I want to create long-term content. So this Clubhouse thing, it takes too much time. And then we came back from Curacao back to Amsterdam, and I was a little bit jet lagged. And in a weak moment, because I usually have my dumb phone, my Nokia dumb phone with a SIM card in it, but I lost that phone in Curacao. So in a weak moment, I got my new SIM card, and I'm at the house. And usually at the house, I don't have access to internet on I'm on my iPhone, because like my house is my house. I don't want to be on the internet there. But I had access, so I was like, yeah, a little bit jet lagged. I download the Clubhouse app, and I was like, it's actually very interesting. And I started to test some things out, and it started to work, and it started to get some traction. And then then I had to write a post in the Genius Network group, like, guys, I was completely wrong. I thought Clubhouse is a waste of time. I think it's actually brilliant, but you need to have balance. Babs just asked me, like, how much is your screen time, or how much time do you spend on Clubhouse? One of the best strategies that you can use if you want to do this seriously is get a second phone. So this is my Clubhouse phone, And right now I'm in my man cave / office. And this phone, it has one function for me, and it's Clubhouse and also Instagram. And when I leave my man cave, my office, and I go home, it's like a couple 100 meters walk, I leave this phone here. So my average screen time from last week has been 4 hours and 43 minutes, which is maybe a lot if you're like not doing a lot of broadcasting, but I'm doing 2 rooms per day minimum. So it's I'm producing a lot on Clubhouse. I'm not consuming that much, so it's important to find the right balance. So those are some pointers for what we're gonna do. Anybody has a question that's very important before we start? Oh yeah, and also I will keep the Zoom running. I'll keep the Zoom running just in case you can't get on Clubhouse, and then you'll see me talk like this all the time because I'm talking in Clubhouse fashion. So are there any questions before we start?
How do you actually like log on to the link? You just...
Yeah, so I'll start it in 2 minutes, and then you will get a message. If you don't get a message, just click the link in 3 minutes when we're live, and you'll see when I go live. So once I go live, you'll get a message. If you don't get a message, just click the link, and then you'll be in the room automatically.
I see. So in other words, I just keep the app open, and I'll get a link.
Yes. Yes, you probably get a message, and if you don't get a message, just click the link, and you'll get access.
Okay. Fair enough.
Really quick, one bit of housekeeping. We all may want to mute our computers because we're going to do all the audio through Clubhouse. Otherwise, when you unmute to talk on Clubhouse, you may get that echo. Is that recommend that?
That is correct. Mute and turn your volume off on the computer. Yes. So not just mute, but you've got to turn your volume all the way down to, or we're all going to get feedback.
That's a really good idea. And I'm a moderator. I'll mute you when you're making a lot of noise. I'll start the room right now. And just then you'll see me in Clubhouse mode. If you have questions, ask the questions on Clubhouse, please. I will mute this. And this is fun, man. I really appreciate that we're doing this. This is a lot of fun. Okay. I wanted to say good afternoon, but for a lot of us, it's good morning. We're in Clubhouse right now. We're doing a Zoom as we speak for the Genius Network, but also we're going to do a room for the Genius Network. I don't know if you heard about the Genius Network, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But if you are from the Genius Network, please raise your hand so I can get you on stage, and then we get this thing going. So let me see. I'll put on Stefan, and Tarna, and David, and Ellie, and Robert. And mute yourself, please, if you get on stage. BJ and Tim, and I'll make Rich a moderator, just to because he's a master in Clubhouse as well. So if you hear anybody that's and if you hear anybody that's unmuted, please mute them if you can. So we'll add Ryan and Summer and Matthew and Tim and John and Edwin and Laura and Melanie and Ellie and Ross and John and Dan. This is amazing. And Shalef and Ryan and Charlie and Matt. So this is all Genius Network members. Alinka and John. And please mute yourself when you get on stage. Jamie. Okay, this is amazing. Somebody is unmuted, so please mute yourself. So Charlie, I'll mute you. So perfect. Let me see if this works. Yes, and then we'll have Dan. So this is great. So what we can do right now is we're now in a room, a Genius Network room here on Clubhouse. And what we can do right now for everybody who's listening, so everybody's on stage, but also everybody who is listening, what you can do right now is press the plus sign at the top bottom. This is a very special room. Like everybody who's on stage are all part of the Genius Network. And the Genius Network is a room that's not a room. Like in my life now, everything is a room. It's a group that's been created by Joe Polish a long time ago. And it's the most amazing group of the most amazing entrepreneurs in the world. I'm from Amsterdam. I live in Amsterdam. And I've been a member of the group since 2014. And pre-corona, I traveled 3-4 times, sometimes more often, to Phoenix just to be with everybody in Genius Networks. Again, it's the most amazing group ever in the history of the world. So if you're interested in Genius Network, in the title of this room, you see geniusnetwork.com. So definitely check that out. But again, when you're on stage, or maybe you're in the room, and you'll be like, man, this is very special. This is something special that's happening right now on Clubhouse. You can ping somebody into the room, and you do that by pressing the plus sign. And by pressing the plus sign, you can invite maybe 1 or 2 friends, and we would highly appreciate it. I think this is going to be a very valuable room because the Genius Network is super, super valuable. And what we're going to do right now is I just hosted a 30-minute Zoom on Clubhouse. Sorry, on in the Genius Network. And I was explaining a little bit about Clubhouse and what it did for me and my business. In the last 6 weeks and 3 days, my growth has been very, very special and very, like very quick. I'm adding people as we speak, but maybe Rich can help me out. So I just did on Zoom short explanation, and now we're here on Clubhouse and to answer questions from anybody in the group. The Genius Network group, or maybe when you're in the room, we will get you on stage maybe later. So we'll take it off from here. If you have questions, if you're on stage right now, if you're a part of Genius Network, if you have questions about Clubhouse, you can just unmute yourself. I know it's a little bit busy now on stage, so usually I have a couple of people on stage, but this is something special. So if you want to ask a question, this is what we can do. Just quickly name your name, and then I'll give you. I'll see how many people name their name, and then I'll pick one, and then we'll go on to the next one. So if you have a question about
I would say one thing you do is flash your microphone, so there is an audio chaos. So if you'd like to make a comment, then flash your microphone. Which on this app, it basically just means like quickly unmute, mute. You flash your microphone, and then we'll acknowledge you to speak.
That's a good idea. It's a good.
I was going to say, but that's also the flashing of the mic for new folks. That's also the Clubhouse form of clap.
Oh, so yes, you can flash your you can flash your mic, but also the thing is we have a lot of people in the room, so I can't see everybody who's flashing the mic. So I would probably go for, if you have a question, just name your name, and I'll pick one. So name your name, and we will answer your question.
Eelco, it's Tim Kahn.
Yes, Tim, go ahead.
Hey, quick question on adding people. I hit the plus, and then a couple of people that came up that I know that are in Clubhouse, their picture showed up, so I tapped on one. But then it also opened up my texting app and put the Genius Network room that I could send it to someone via text. Is that how you have to invite them, or does it do it automatically through the Clubhouse just by tapping on them?
By tapping on them, they will get a notification if they have their notifications on, and I think you can also send a text message.
Yeah. If they have their notifications off, it's going to ask you if you want to send them a text, and it will send that link. That's also a way to invite people to Clubhouse if you don't have the app yet.
To search for people among the people that you follow. To find people that you could then if you press their face, it will ping them into the room. It will send them a notification. But not everyone has notifications on. So another thing you can do when you do hit that plus button, there is an option there that says share. And if you click that, it will give you various options for copying the link and putting in a text message, etc. So that's kind of the more manual way to share the link to this room is by click the plus button, then click the share button, and then, as I said, you'll see various options to send it by messenger, email, and also, of course, you can copy the link.
For me, Eelco and Rich, another thing with adding folks and pinging people, you also get a little search box. And what's great about that is you can put in, particular keywords, entrepreneur, genius network, home-based business, any kind of sort of keywords, and it will find people based on their profiles that match that keyword, and then you could be more selective as to who you invite into the room.
That's a great addition. That's great. I didn't know that.
And some other useful, interesting information too. If you're new to Clubhouse and it's the first time here, a couple of things that could benefit your experience. So you may be in this room for various reasons, including someone shared the link with you, and that's what brought you here. But generally, the way we see rooms is by the people that we follow. So in the main portion, or like the entryway portion of the app, called the hallway, that's where you can see different rooms with different titles, and you see different people are speaking in there. And generally, you will only get to see rooms if someone that you're following is in that room or speaking in that room. So what you want to do is kind of cultivate the rooms that you get to see by following the right people. So if you see a room that's hosted by someone and you'd like to see rooms that they do, then you want to follow them. And then there is an option there in the profile. There's a little bell. And if you hit that bell, it'll ask you if you want to be notified sometimes when that person speaks, never when that person speaks, or always. So if it is someone who you have particular interest in, you click it to always, and then you always get notified. And so that's generally what you want to do, is you want to make sure you follow the people that are running the rooms or on stage of the rooms that you wanted to see in the future. I think that's one of the keys to how you get to the places that you want to be on Clubhouse, is through who you follow. And I'll just add one other thing here too now. Just this is another practice, another common thing that you see on Clubhouse. It's called resetting the room. And I saw today someone who analyzed it said best practice is to reset the room about every 10 minutes, because people come and go often. And so someone stepping into the conversation doesn't necessarily know what it is that you've been talking about. Once the room starts, you can't change the title of the room. So sometimes the conversation shifts, and you'll want to kind of acknowledge that. And so just what resetting the room looks like is just saying, so we're in a room called geniusnetwork.com. This is a room hosted by Genius Network members and the Genius Network team to bring together people from the Genius Network and to kind of show other people what we're up to and give them an opportunity to ask us questions and to further discuss what it is we do. And so something like that is what we typically do to reset the room. And like I said, that's something on Clubhouse you typically want to do every 10 minutes or so.
Hey, Eelco, can I help reset the room for just a second?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, you were talking at the beginning. This is Timothy, by the way. And I love Clubhouse because I have a face for Clubhouse, which is really good. But anyway, you were talking about Genius Network at the beginning, and I know that there's a lot of people who are unfamiliar with Genius Network in this chat today, and so I thought it might be interesting resetting the room. We do Genius Network morning, so it's a Genius morning. It's one of the things that we do in Genius Network. A Thursday, first Thursday of every month, we get together. And so, Eelco, you have been the guest today at Genius Mornings, and we spent 30 minutes with you. You told us about Clubhouse, and then we came into this room, and now you're showing us. So I just wanted to, I think it's illustrative of what we do in Genius Network. We learn from each other. We learn from geniuses, and Eelco, you're a genius, and becoming rapidly a genius with Clubhouse. So I just wanted to kind of reset the room for those who are unfamiliar. This is part of what we do in Genius Network. And again, Eelco, I want to thank you for doing this.
Thank you, man. So appreciate that, Tim. Anybody else has a question on stage right now? Yeah, go ahead. Let me see. David?
Oh, thanks, Eelco. Hey, good to see you, man, and thanks for doing this room.
I just wanted to share, and then I have a question for you. I know David Hill, by the way, real estate agent, Boston, Mass area. You had about 5 to 7 days after you became aware of Clubhouse, you had said, "Oh my God, I'm not going to do this." Right? You said you were going to delete the app, but then you changed your mind, right? Which we all can do. And now here we are, 6 weeks later. You have 29,000 followers in 6 weeks, and you're doing 2 rooms a day. So I would say, what for you has been the biggest surprise with Clubhouse?
So when I got on Clubhouse initially, that was December 31st. I got on it for a couple of days, and there were no Dutch people. That was the first thing. So everybody was English, which is fine, but there were no Dutch people. So that was something that didn't work out for me. And then a couple of weeks later, after I deleted the app, I just switched it on, and then I saw like maybe 200 total people, Dutch people. I think 6 weeks and 3 days ago, there might be like 200 or 300 people that are from Holland that were in Clubhouse. So there were some small rooms of 7 people or maybe 30 people, or but they were like very small. And I started getting into those small groups, and I started to get the feel for it, and I started to like fall in love with it, because it's so amazing to be. So let me go back a little bit. Before Corona, I did like 3 or 4 seminars per year. And during those seminars, I'm teaching and I'm connecting with a lot of people. And in the meanwhile, outside of those seminars, I don't meet that many people, except for example, when I go to Genius Network, I meet a lot of people. But there was always something magic to, for example, my seminars, but also, for example, Genius Network. You're around with you're around a lot of great people, and you have great conversations. And somebody needs to mute himself. Perfect. And so there's something magical to that. But obviously nowadays that's very tough to do, especially here in Holland, to be with other people in a room. But with Clubhouse, you can literally be in a room. Well, not literally, but like technically you're in a room, a Clubhouse room. And I started sharing my ideas, and started sort of doing what I'm doing at my seminars. So what I'm doing with my seminars is I have 3 steps. First, what I'm doing is I'm teaching. So I have a certain topic, and then I'm teaching. Then I do Q&A, and then I'll have people share what they've learned. And those 3 steps, it's always very valuable and a lot of fun. And I noticed that I can do that on Clubhouse as well. So I started doing that, and I just saw the traction, and I saw people enjoying it, and I enjoyed it, and I started to grow. And that made me change my mind. Like, okay, maybe there's something to this app. And after maybe a week or 2 weeks, maybe after a couple of days, I really made the decision. I told my team, like, I'm going all in. I'm going to commit to really really go all in on Clubhouse. And it's not because I'm making so much more money now on Clubhouse, or, I have a lot of strategies how to grow your list and all that stuff. And that's cool. But for me, it really felt like, it almost triggered my purpose. It almost feels like, this is, so I did a room today, and I got the same question, like, what made you decide to go all in? And I told them, like, it almost feels like, I don't know where they created this app, but let me assume that it's in Silicon Valley. It almost feels like 2 years ago they had a meeting, and they'll be like, what would be the ideal app for Eelco? Because I'm not great at Instagram, I'm not great at YouTube, like, I'm not great at all those other social media platforms, but with Clubhouse, it just works for me. And so it's a combination of audio, it's a combination of live, it's a combination of sharing your ideas. I really love to teach. I really love to inspire entrepreneurs. So it's the perfect cocktail, and I can name like 50 things that are in that cocktail. And it's just, for me, it's just made for me. And I truly feel that if you are an author, if you are maybe a podcaster, if you sell online courses, if you do seminars, if you do webinars, if you really commit to be of very much value on Clubhouse, it can totally change your game.
Hey, can I please ask a question, sir?
Sure. Who's this?
My name is Charlie. I'm from Germany. Is it okay if I ask a question?
No, I think this is amazing. So why is this amazing? Because I'm just curious, Charlie, and this is for everybody. How did you get to this room?
I followed BJ Fogg because I watched all of his lectures, and he's in this group, and I'll just
And now we see the power of Clubhouse. So BJ, who's amazing, he's on stage right now. You get a message like BJ is in a room. He's on stage. He's talking, or maybe no, he's not talking, but he's on stage. And you'll be like, oh, I want to be there. And this in itself is a great example of how amazing Clubhouse is and how you can expand your network. So go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think this app is a very good tool for other people to connect, and I am very interested in seeing how this app will grow in the future. My question would be to BJ directly. I don't know if he's hearing me. Yeah, okay. Are you hearing me, Mr. Frog?
I don't know. Is BJ? Oh, BJ is on. Yes, I think he hears you. Do you hear him, BJ?
I can hear you fine. Okay. Well, thank you. So I listened to a lot of your talks, and my question would be: at a time where, particularly my generation, lives in a knowledge society where there's a lot of knowledge and information on our fingertips, you wrote a book about habits. Why is it that if we don't lack the knowledge on how to do things, why is it that so many people fail to do certain things? Like, why is it that doctors who know what smoking does to your body still smoke or drink alcohol or eat unhealthy? And because I see a lot of kids in my age, I'm relatively young, living very self-destructive, and I would like to know why is that? Well, I'll answer that briefly, and then I'll kind of fold it back to Clubhouse, the same what we're doing here. We have competing motivations. So at any given moment, we could watch Netflix, or we could answer email, or we could call our mom. And we have true motivations, perhaps, to do all of those in varying amounts, and those motivations will shift over time. The one we end up choosing to do is not just a combination of motivation, not just how high the motivation is, but also your ability. So whatever behavior that you're prompted to do in the moment that has the highest combination of motivation and ability, that's what you will do. So if it's really hard to watch Netflix because you have to set up the TV, like that's what I do in our home. I take the TV, you cannot just turn it on. You have to pull it out of the corner, set up the table, hook up all the wires, it's a process. So even though I really might want to watch something, it's so hard to do, I don't do it. So instead I might answer email or call my mom. So we have competing motivations for the various behaviors we do. We're not always picking the best ones for ourselves from a health and well-being perspective. We're picking the ones that have the optimal combination of motivation ability. And if you want to change the choice, then you manipulate those variables. So the choice that is the healthiest for you is the easiest to do, and you're also motivated to do it. Now, I'm going to fold that back to Clubhouse. Those in the Genius Network have mastered various channels, whether it's YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or direct mail and so on. So those are behaviors you could be doing or channels you could be using versus Clubhouse. Right now, probably for many people, your ability to use Clubhouse is low. And that's what Eelco is helping you right now, scaling up ability. And you may not understand why to use Clubhouse. And what we did on Zoom previous to this, Eelco was increasing your motivation. So what can happen because of this is the combo of motivation and ability will go up for Clubhouse. And that may mean that you spend more time focusing on Clubhouse and less time on Instagram or other platforms. I'll stop there. This is BJ.
Thank you, BJ.
Thank you very much for your answer. That was a really good answer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. John, do you have any questions, John? I see you're unmuted.
Yeah, and first I would say, thank you, Eelco, John Ratliff. First I would say that is what you just all witnessed is the power of Genius Network. It's guys like BJ that get a simple question and like drop massive knowledge, time after time after time. And Genius, to Eelco's point, has, I think, changed all of us pretty significantly. So thanks for bringing us together. My question is, do you have a regular routine? I know you said you average 2 rooms a day. Are they at the same time? Do you do it spontaneously? Do you try and get in a planned rhythm? How do you think about when to have a room and how to curate that room?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I do is I schedule 2 rooms, and I try to stick to 2 p.m. for me and 7:30 p.m. And because the mornings for me, that's for me. And Clubhouse is amazing, but it's super addictive, and I don't want to start off the day on Clubhouse. But that's for me personally. So I'll try to stick to 2 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Sometimes there's a variation. So for example, now in Amsterdam, it's 5 p.m. or almost 6 p.m. But I try to stick to 2 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. just to get that rhythm. And I also try to prepare those rooms in advance, so I don't need to stress about it during the day. So that's my rhythm, my schedule.
Yeah, and for me, I look toward consistency, so I do a room like that's patent questions and answers. It's basically just a place where people can learn about IP. I do that every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, like I'm going to be doing that this afternoon. I think I've done it now. This is going to be the 7 or 8 weeks in a row. And, there are times when I had a big audience. There are times when I had a pretty small audience. But I've just been seeking to keep it consistent, both for the sake of the audience and also for the sake of a lot of what you do on this app is aided by collaboration with other moderators, other people that have a following. Because as I mentioned earlier, it's like when you, the rooms that people can see are a function of who they're following. So I could open a room with a title that's extremely interesting to lots of people, but if I don't have any followers, then they won't know about it. And so often what you do just to kind of bring multiple groups together, other people's followers, is to organize in conjunction with other people that have their followings to do the room together. And then that helps to kind of get them into your audience as well. Like when they come to your room, they'll like follow you, and then they'll be part of your audience. So for me, having some consistency aids in that as well, in terms of being able to bring other people in at a consistent time that can then bring their audience as well.
Rich, I think I need to be more like you. I've been, I just do rooms ad hoc, and it's worked fine for me, but I keep thinking, I just need to have like firm schedule of different rooms I'm hosting and so on. So I think if people want to just do ad hoc rooms, it does work if you have enough followers,
maybe it's like a little habit. Maybe start like in small steps.
Imagine.
Yeah. Hey, BJ.
I think it would be beneficial so there's some clubs that I've created and so on. I think my next step is to have consistent rooms. I've just been I have so many appointments on my schedule. It's I want 3 more appointments this week that I'm obligated to do, or I want just to do the rooms now.
BJ, this is Dean. That's what we were talking about with this idea of the rooms kind of getting organized now. When Eelco and I first started out on this, it was kind of like the wild frontier. You never know what was going on. You come in and you get swept into something. And I mean, Fernando's been in here from the beginning. Fernando and I have ended up in hosting rooms where it's, hey, pitch us your idea, whether it'll tell you whether you got a good business idea or not. And it was just kind of willy-nilly, and everybody would just kind of get brought into a group. But as it's evolving now, what I'm really seeing is people are shifting into their roles, and there are people who are identifying as and just assuming the role of being really great moderators. And if you've been in a room with a really great moderator, you know it, because they're very good at resetting the room and setting the tone and moving things into the next person and introducing the topic. And then some of those people tend to, now they're starting to set up clubs and have regular, we do this club, this room every Thursday from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And so, BJ, we were talking last night, not you and I, Rich and a few others, that it's going to become more predictable for guys like you, BJ, who are like instant value adders to a room. You're gonna, be able to come into a room with some predictability and be sort of organized by the hosts. I think people are gonna move into roles of being almost like talk show hosts or live podcast kind of hosts. So you'll be a welcome guest in any room, and that's going to add more predictability to it. So I'm excited about that evolution of it more than just the Wild West of it.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Dean. I know a lot of the people that have become the typical mods, people you see in lots of rooms on lots of different types of stages that have a decent following at this point, have come from TV, have come from TV hosting, spokesperson type roles that you see in their profile, that they've just morphed it over into Clubhouse and kind of taken that familiar role of hosting conversations for people, let's say for people who are more the content producer than running the conversation.
Anybody else has a question who hasn't spoken?
I have a question, guys. Eelco here.
Eelco first, and then we'll move on to who was next?
Melanie.
So first Eelco, and then we'll move on to Melanie.
Thanks, Eelco. I can see the value of Clubhouse. I think it's amazing. And here's a practical question for you. I have 7 invites and 20,000 authors and entrepreneurs on my list. How do I distribute that? How do I get them on Clubhouse and do a mastermind or a webinar on Clubhouse right now? What's the most efficient strategy here?
Yeah, so there's one technique that I've been doing many times, and this is a great way to also boost your social media engagement. So what you can do, obviously you can't invite 20,000 people because you only have 7 invites. What you can do is, for example, create an Instagram post, and there you will share that you're going to do a room. And in the caption of the Instagram post, you tell them, if you need an invite or if you have an invite, please comment below. And usually when I post something on my Instagram, I might get 10 or 20 comments. On those posts, I get hundreds of comments because a lot of people want an invite. So they ask for an invite in the comment section. And a lot of people would like to give their invite, use their invites for other people, give the invites to somebody else. So what I would do if you want to host a room and you want to promote it to your 20,000 people, I would create a post on Instagram or maybe Facebook or maybe LinkedIn and link in the email to that post. And then you will see that a lot of people leave a comment okay, I need an invite or I have an invite. And you won't get 20,000 people, obviously, or probably on Clubhouse, but you'll get a couple of hundred maybe. And there's a lot of value in that already.
Amazing, Eelco. Thank you.
Melanie.
So I'd like to reset the room. Yeah, so this is geniusnetwork.com is the name of the room. Basically, most of the people on the stage are people from the Genius Network, which is a mastermind founded by Joe Polish. A lot of high-end entrepreneurs are part of this group. It's a great group with lots of collaboration. And so this is the first Clubhouse room that we're doing. It actually spilled over from a Zoom that is happening simultaneously through the Genius Network. And we're here to bring Genius Network members together and to answer questions for other people about what it is we do and about how we all thrive on Clubhouse. I'm done speaking.
Cool. Melanie, you had a question.
It's not really a question. It's a comment. And I think because I'm very new to Clubhouse, I've only been on a few times. I think this tip would help everyone else in Genius Network and anyone else in the room right now. And that is, I'm trying to find out more about connections on Clubhouse specifically. And what I've done since this room is open and it's our first time doing it is I've gone through every picture on the app because I know the people that are on the stage, the speakers. So those are the pictures at the top of the room. Going through all of those, click on each one and then click follow. And so Eelco, I'm following you. Rich, I'm following you. Dean, I'm following you. Steven, these are just all the people in Genius Network. And so by doing that, I'm not capturing everyone, but I'm capturing everyone who's on stage right now because I know you're all Genius Network members. And so probably the same for anyone else in the room. If you would like to follow Genius Network members, these are successful entrepreneurs, and they have their networks, and they'll be hosting rooms and be participating in fantastic discussions. So that's my tip. Just go through, for anyone on this app right now, click on the pictures while you're in the app. Just click on everyone's picture and follow them.
Great idea. Anybody else has a question on stage?
Hi, Eelco. It's Summer.
Hey, Summer.
From the Draw Shop.
Hi there.
Hey, I had a question earlier. You were talking about, before we came on Clubhouse, you were talking about recording your content. And I wanted to know, because I've heard various different things in terms of what's allowed in terms of recording, having to get speaker approval. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, because I loved what you said earlier about being able to record if you're doing a webinar.
Yeah, so what I'm doing myself is what I was teaching earlier. That's 3 steps. So the first part of my rooms usually are me teaching a topic. So it could be, for example, today in the afternoon, in the Dutch afternoon, I did a room with 10 strategies on how to journal. So how to keep a journal. And those 10 strategies, those minutes, record that. Then I go to Q&A, and I don't use that at all. So it's not something that I'm using, that I won't be publishing. So for me, what I'm doing, I just record whenever I'm teaching, and that's what I'm using for my YouTube channel and stuff like that. So that's one thing you can do. Also, what you can do is in the title of your room, you can put this recording icon and then say recorded or recording. And also, if you get the verbal approval of people that are on stage and that are communicating with you, then you can record it as well, and you can publish it. As far as I know, but I'm not a lawyer. But this is what I know, and I think this will do.
Yeah, Eelco, it's a little ambiguous right now, but generally speaking, Summer, I think if you do want to put the words recording along with the emoji there in the title. You absolutely need to do that, because it is against the terms of use for the app. Do mention you cannot record unless you have permission. And right now, that's really been the only way that I've seen of people actually getting quote unquote permission, is by having it right in the title. But what I don't know, Eelco, like you mentioned, right, in terms of repurposing and republishing, I have no idea what that looks like. But it is still a very new app, so I'm sure we'll start seeing some clarity on that.
Yeah. Any other questions in the room? Ali?
This is Ali.
Yep, go ahead.
Hi. So my question is, there are different types of ways you can create rooms. You can create one on the schedule. You can start a room instantly, and then there's the actual creating of a club. So my question is more on the creating of a club side. I've heard things in other rooms like they will start to monetize clubs, and that there's a long waiting list for clubs. What is the strategy today if you want to start a club, and what's the benefit of having a club versus these regular rooms?
Yeah, as far as I know, I would right now forget about the whole idea of getting a club, but this is as far as I know. It's very hard to get a club nowadays. So I would just focus on hosting amazing rooms, and then eventually I think they'll open up, and it's very easy for everybody to get a club, just as it's easy to get a Facebook group. But that's as far as I know. Maybe somebody else, BJ?
Yeah, well, let me chime in here. I think every Sunday morning they do a Clubhouse town hall where the founders are there and they answer questions. Last Sunday, Paul said they're going to allow people to create clubs through the app, not through the website. And that was supposed to ship on Tuesday. But as far as I can tell, it has not shipped. Previously, the club formation process has been slow. And so I have 2 clubs. One advantage is the first club I started now has like 22,000 followers and about 1,000 members. And it just grows like 500 people a day without me doing anything. And I think an advantage there is when we schedule a room, BJ, the people get notified and so on. So those people can get notified. I also started a Tiny Habits Club, and that's a different form. So the Tiny Habits Club, the members are my certified coaches. and then anyone can follow. Where the other club, the Good Habits Club, I invited like 1,000 people to be members, and then I stopped, and then I'm getting all these followers. So on the Tiny Habits side, everybody who's a member can start rooms and so on. And so that is a different structural format than my Good Habits Club, which is more like a public thing. So one is a membership-driven with so many. I'm just running 2 different types of clubs, and that's different patterns of how to do it.
Thank you, BJ. Lee, you're here as well, Lee.
Yes, hello there.
Hey.
Hello, everyone.
Hello there. Go ahead.
Let's see, on Clubhouse, I'll say, they said that they're creating a self-serve how to set up your club, so they're making it automated, and they plan on releasing that soon so that you can just go in and set up your own club. Eelco, you and I have done the next best thing. We've done the .club and added URL, so to everyone in Genius Network, I recommend you getting your name .club so that you can take your club from Clubhouse into a domain that will be yours no matter whether you're on Clubhouse or not. I've bought 200 .club domains, and I see the value of building relationships off the app as well. In Clubhouse, one of the things that we've been doing lately, we are having regular scheduled meetings every morning. I actually have a room going on the other line. Every morning from 7 to 10 a.m. Pacific, we're doing the Growth Network, and we're inviting speakers in, and everyone in Genius Network is invited in. We're working with Babs and Dan to bring them in together, and with Dean and I as well. So definitely think grouping together with other people that love Clubhouse and are great moderators and know how to do all of resetting the room and inviting speakers. I think a regularly scheduled meeting, it has been really valuable for us. And one of the things that we did was we learned this new way of measuring the room. Are you guys aware of that? Eelco, are you aware of that?
No, go ahead. I'm happy to learn.
I'm looking at the picture right now. So let's see. So right now, we're using that. And then it tells us how many people are in the room, how long they stay, how many hours. I think yesterday we delivered, in our 3 hours worth of work, we delivered almost 2,000 hours of content. In other words, the people that came on, how long they stayed and how much they consumed. And it was an average of like 900 people in the room for the 3 hours, an average. So that was really good. But it's nice seeing the statistics, and this way you can keep improving. And
Lee, can you explain how that's done? I don't know how to do that, but I love numbers.
Yeah, I will share the app with you. Let me go into my picture.
Oh, so it's a separate app.
It is. And actually, I don't know if you've been paying attention. I have a friend on here. His name's Gary Henderson, and he's kind of taking a lead on some ways to do things on Clubhouse. And so he created this. I believe he created it or bought it. It's called DireCon, DIRECON.
He's got the other app. DireCon's the competitor.
Okay. Well, this is the one that we're using, and we can see the stats on the room. And I'll tell you, it's been really great because sometimes we'll have 20 mods there, and everyone wants to know how they contributed and what happened. And we can see each day our average is going up. It started at 10 minutes. Now it's at 15 minutes average that people are staying there. So it's just really nice to see the statistics.
And the interesting thing is that I started tracking this room pretty much when it started. So, like, interesting stat, for example, the maximum listeners, we had 216 people here. Total listeners, 747, or 749 now. So it's kind of like people do come in and leave, and like, you see a steady number at the bottom, but it's not as steady as you think. So, like, for example, here, it says the average time listened was 8 minutes. So, there are a lot of people that have been here the whole time, but then there have been a lot of other people that have been coming and going, and so the average stickiness, 21.6%. So anyway, the point is that's how these stats work, and it's interesting to see because it's not always quite what you thought.
It's and the average on Clubhouse is 10 minutes. So if you go above 10 minutes, then you're beating the average.
This is great, Lee. Thank you, and Lee, Rich, thank you as well. So, anybody else has a question?
Eelco, it's Tim Connigan. One more quick question. Opposite of the microphone on our icon, some people have like a little confetti thing. What is that? Not everybody has it.
No, it means you're a very special person. like Clubhouse saw you and be like, oh, Tim is there, we're gonna give him this party hat. No, it's for everybody who's been on Clubhouse for less than a week.
Oh, so it's anyone that's brand new. Great. Cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and it's good to name it out, to call it out when somebody enters the stage, when they have this party hat or the confetti thing, because people like to be acknowledged, and especially a lot of people who are new on Clubhouse, they're very frightened to get on stage. So that's.
And it's a part of a culture of inclusion here. Like, part of the culture of Clubhouse is inclusiveness and wanting to welcome people that are new to the platform, wanting to include them in discussions. So I think the fact that it exists is because of that culture that at least is they're looking to actively promote.
BJ?
And let me add to that as well. One of the things that's really important for any new app or any new product or service is the first experience. Like, the first time somebody uses something is vital for engagement. And cleverly, you have that party hat, and the culture, like you just heard, is very welcoming. People call out the party hat. People are very nice to those people. So whether the founders knew it or not, by using that party hat and developing a culture of welcomeness and inclusivity, it makes first experience a lot better for people, which is leading in part to the success of the app.
Thank you. Any other questions from people on stage?
I've just got a little two little quick tips, if I may, just for people that are new here. One is definitely make a profile with the profile picture. Kind of the reason you want to give people a reason why they want to hear more from you or see more of you. And when you follow them, they will typically look at your profile to see if they'd like to follow you back and see what you have to say. And if there's just a picture there or even no picture, then it's hard to judge. So that's number one. Definitely create a profile that highlights what's great and interesting about you. The other thing is connect your Instagram or Twitter. There is no direct messaging on the app. People tend to use Instagram through Clubhouse. So if somebody hears what you're saying and they just want to get in touch with you and connect with you about something, having your Instagram connected will be invaluable for that. So definitely connect your Instagram. Instagram or Twitter, but people on Clubhouse seem to favor Instagram. So one of the two, preferably Instagram. And I'm done speaking.
Thank you. John, did you have a question, John?
Yeah, I did, and it's kind of a random one. But with Instagram, there's always this dilemma about who do I follow versus get followed, and you always want a lot more followers than you don't want to follow too many people, and there's that whole back and forth. Does that same thing exist here, or is there a relationship between followers versus following, like on Insta?
Less, I think. I mean, yes, if you follow people, maybe more people will follow you. But I feel that it's like the amount of follow. Obviously, I mean, everybody looks at the following, and everyone who wants to grow their following. But I feel it plays a little less of a big role in Clubhouse than, for example, Instagram or other platforms. But I might be wrong.
Yeah, Eelco, I think that what you want, what was just mentioned is true, but on this app, it is a little different because the people you follow, that's how you're essentially curating your hallway.
That's true.
And yeah, so you do tend to wanna. There is not this Clubhouse. There is not that thing where it's like, that ratio, or he's following too many people, or she's following too many people. It doesn't work that way. But just keep in mind that the smaller the number of people you follow, the smaller potentially those that hallway and the topics you're going to see is going to be. So for me, I'm following all sorts of people: marketing, business, psychedelics, angel investing, rocket ships. I mean, for me, I've chosen to go pretty diverse because I kind of want to join rooms that don't just necessarily deal with business, right? I mean, I got on this app, Eelco, I think it was towards the end of December, and I honestly thought it was a big marketing hub, right? Because it was so many marketers, and I guess it was just timing. I'm not sure. But what you'll find is there are a lot of interesting discussions and topics of conversation, but you do need to sort of diversify who you're following for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's I follow a lot of artists and other people outside of the marketing space. I love marketing, but I don't just want to be about marketing all the time. So I agree. So it's really important to follow the right people in the right categories. And you can't follow well, you sort of can, but follow people that are interesting to you and that you would love to speak or love to hear. And like I would just take like 30 minutes, 15 minutes and follow 100, 200 people minimum. So the algorithm will adjust towards the people that you follow, and based on that, your hallway will improve. For everybody that's listening, welcome to this room. We're doing a Genius Network room. Everybody that's on stage, or almost everybody that's on stage, is part of a very special group. It's called the Genius Network. Myself, I'm from Amsterdam, and I've been a member of this group since 2014. I travel multiple times per year, all the way to Phoenix, and I don't like the travel. I don't like the 9-hour time difference. I don't like all of that stuff, but it's so important to me to be in this group. It's a group of amazing entrepreneurs, not just entrepreneurs that make a lot of money, but also a lot of entrepreneurs, or most of them, all of them in Genius Network. They really care about other stuff as well. It's not just about money. It's about life. It's about health. It's about relationships. It's about connection. So Genius Network is an amazing group, and I highly recommend you check it out. In the title of this room, you see geniusnetwork.com. Genius Network has been founded by Joe Polish. Joe is an amazing guy who created an amazing group. So yeah, check it out. Right now, we're here talking about Clubhouse. Clubhouse obviously is the new app. It's almost a year old, but like everybody sees it as a new app, and it is pretty new. A lot of people here on stage as well are new to Clubhouse. So we're here brainstorming about all the opportunities and all the things that you can do with Clubhouse. So if you're new, welcome. Follow the speakers here on stage. Definitely check out geniusnetwork.com. So we're happy to help. Anybody on stage has a question, please name your name and I'll go ahead.
Hello, Eelco. This is Jerry.
Hey, Jerry. Go ahead.
How often do you consider it's a good time to do what you just did? Like setting up the room again, welcoming new speakers or new listeners.
Yeah.
How often do you recommend that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So personally, I don't like to do it that often. And it depends on what type of room that you host. If you have a conversation like this, we're hosting a conversation, it's fine to do it every 10 minutes, 15 minutes to welcome new people that are in the room. So that's fine. Let me mute. So but for example, when you're teaching, wait, can somebody help me out with the muting? Yes, thank you. When you're teaching, for example, I did a room today where I teach 10 ways on how to journal. I don't stop all the time and welcome everybody. I like to keep the tempo fast. I like to do a lot in a short amount of time. And so personally, I don't do it that often. But if there's a conversation going right now, maybe every 10 minutes, maybe every 15 minutes, or maybe every 20 minutes. But I wouldn't overdo it. But that's my personal preference. So if the conversation is very exciting, people will stick to the conversation. So that's my personal preference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.
Some people set it every 20 minutes because, like we said earlier, the average person stays in the room 10 minutes.
Yep.
So each 20 minutes, it gives you an opportunity to just reset. And sometimes the speakers or the people on stage will kind of go off topic. So that's a way to reel it back in and say, hey, right now, this is what we're talking about, and just go back to the center. So I see a lot of people do it. Some people are better than others. Some people have created rap songs out of it. Some people have guest mods on. Some people pay moderators to come on and just lead the room, and then they can be the speaker and highlighted. I love how Craig Clemens runs his rooms. If you watch, it'll usually be him and one other person, and then he'll invite like that mastermind, the attendees and stuff, to come up on stage, but only he and one other person will be modded, and everyone else is just a guest. And so they've learned some learning lessons too, that if you mod everyone, there's certain things that people can do, like move people around or close the room. And some people have put like 30, 40, 50 mods on, and then somebody can close the room and change everything. So you have to be really careful who you pull up and give what they call the green beanie to.
Yeah, that's a great point. By the way, absolutely, for everyone listening, you should check out Craig's rooms, Craig Clemens. There, he puts on some fantastic conversations for sure. And for folks that are just starting out, absolutely. For me, any rooms that I start, it's generally only myself and maybe at the maximum 2, maybe 3 other moderators. And I have to really know who they are because it just becomes very crazy and at times toxic. And as far as when and how often to reset the room, I think Eelco and Lee hit it on the head. For me personally, if I see that the room, because you'll have moments in time where the room all of a sudden, for whatever reason, the algorithm kicks in and it just starts growing. And so that definitely is a signal for you to, or for one of the moderators to sort of reset the room, as well as, like Lee mentioned, if things start getting off topic. But for me, I do like to keep an eye, when I moderate rooms, I do like to keep an eye on the room growth for that reason. Because once you start seeing that the numbers start kicking up, it's probably a good idea to welcome the new folks that are coming in, and they understand, okay, where are we? What are we doing here? That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Fernando, may I ask you a question?
Of course.
So this is Jonathan Kaiser, and this is literally the first time I've been on stage, so apologies to everyone for kind of the newness. But one thing that's occurred to me about Clubhouse as an opportunity for Genius Network, which I'm a very, very proud member of, is that we have the ability here to really help each other create whatever platforms within the app that we would like. Like if we all collectively took the perspective of how do we help each other grow our brands, get the messaging out, or whatever the case may be. If we looked at it from a collective standpoint, I think we can do some extraordinary things. I also think it could be amazing for recruiting members to Genius Network. But if you don't mind, I would love, as many of you who know me in the group, we have a commercial real estate firm, and right now, we're helping tenants all across the country with their real estate needs. And I just wanted to plug an event we're doing tonight on Clubhouse, which is one of the hardest hit industries out there right now is the fitness industry. And so we have a Clubhouse event tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific that's called the Future of Fitness and the Gyms Act. And we have some really high-powered people. We have Michael Abramson, who's the COO of Exponential, which has 12 different brands like Cycle Bar, etc. We have Chuck Runyon, and we have just a bunch of other big names. And I would just invite people, if you have any interest in supporting the initiative for helping the fitness brands in the world right now, and particularly in the U.S. that are really being hurt by this pandemic and COVID, I would just invite people to join. And again, that's at 6 o'clock tonight, and it's called the Future of Fitness and the Gyms Act.
Thank you. I'm curious, Akira, you're on stage as well. What's it like? What's Clubhouse like in Japan?
Hey, Eelco. Clubhouse is getting super popular in Japan for the people in the tech industry, the startup, and also the business influencers, authors, and speakers. How I use it is I set up the rooms Craig does. Then I usually invite one guest speaker. Then I ask questions about his business, book strategies, and how does he do well in the business. Then after maybe 20-30 minutes, I open up for the question for the audience. Then they can ask questions and we carry the conversation. And I found that in Japan, it's many people use just for, chatting and getting together, connecting. But also I use, we can connect the Clubhouse to the Instagram and Twitter. So I put the landing page, opt-in page in my Instagram link and Twitter's bio. So that, if you give in the value and interesting stories and strategies, then definitely they will not only follow you, but check you out and opt in. Then if you have good funnels and giving, books and videos, and they will, sign up or buy your program later. So I think it's a great place for the connecting other people and then giving values. Thank you.
Thank you, Kira. Anybody else has a question?
Eelco, I just texted you something based on the audio and the recording that we were talking about before. So there is an audiocollective.co, which is an app that you turn on while you're hosting a room so it records. And you do put the red dot all you have to do is put the red dot up in your title, and then that lets people know if they come in, you're recording.
Cool. Thank you. That's great advice. Anybody else has a question?
I guess in the interim, just a further answer about should I follow people, or should I have more followers and following, like Instagram? Just an additional thought on that is, in the beginning, you want to follow as many people, follow lots of people in the beginning, as was noted, for the sake of getting access to many different rooms. As time goes on, you want to follow less. Not because of appearances, not like on Instagram where you want that appearance of having more followers than following, but when you get to a certain point, it becomes noise. So I'm following 1,600 people currently, and so I see in my hallway lots and lots of different rooms that aren't necessarily so interesting to me. I could scroll down and scroll down and scroll down and just keep seeing different rooms because of all the people that I'm following. So at a certain point, you, like I said, in the beginning, you want to follow lots of people to gain access to those rooms. But as time goes on, you'll do less just to avoid noise in your hallway, if that makes sense. And I'm done speaking.
One other thing, while you're on a stage like right here, if you want to make it so that you do not get any notifications, you click on your picture, and then there's a gear chain. You click on that, and on the top it'll say notifications, and you can pause your notifications. So if you're speaking, if you're leading a room, you can pause your notifications for an hour until this evening, so that this way you're not getting pings, because sometimes I'll just get pinged so many times and then it interrupts the flow of the conversation. So pausing notifications is a really big help.
Thank you. Anybody else has a question? So if you have a question, please name your name and we'll have you ask your question. So don't be shy.
Yeah, I have a question. This is Sandra. And first of all, this is an incredible conversation. Just love that you're doing this. I have recurring rooms. Is there a workaround so that you don't have to just do the scheduling every time? I just copy and paste the description, but then putting in the moderators and I doing everything by hand. Is there some way that can be automated for recurring rooms?
I'm not sure. Anybody? Does anybody know? Rich?
Yeah, not that I know of. I think it's pretty well established at this point that it's all manual. That this is one of the things. There's a bunch of features that they want to implement that just make lots of sense in terms of like calendars and like being able to even jump to a certain day on your calendar to see what's scheduled. And like this is functionality that they know should be present, but they've been focused on scaling. I mean, they've gone from 1 million to over 7 million in the last, I think, 7 or 8 weeks. So their focus has been on scaling the platform as opposed to adding new features. But there's a whole bunch of features regarding the calendar that in the town halls, the founders have said, yes, clearly we're going to do this as soon as we get to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else has a question? Please name your name and.
Eelco, it's Tim here again.
Tim, go ahead. First Tim, and who was the other one?
This is Tarna. I'll go next.
Okay, great. Tim first, and then we'll go to Tarna.
Thank you. My question is, if I start a room, does that mean I become the moderator? First question. Second question is, I wouldn't know how to moderate necessarily, although I'm getting good tips here. And then if I schedule a room for a certain time, like you were suggesting, does that also then make me the moderator? Thanks.
Yes and yes. So if you start a room, you're the moderator, and if you schedule a room, you're the moderator as well.
And if you add other people onto that, like if you schedule a room and you add several other people on there, they will show up in the room as a speaker. In other words, on stage, but not a moderator. So it's kind of a little bit convenient if there's several people that you want to be speakers, you can just add them onto the event. And then when they get in the room, they will automatically be speakers, but it's only the first person who opened the room that becomes instantly the moderator, and then that person can make anyone else they want into a moderator.
Thank you. Tarna?
Thank you, Eelco. It's wonderful to have you all here today. Since we have so many new members for Genius Network that are on Clubhouse, what are some of the best practices for our bios, aside from Twitter and Instagram, but some of the copy or the message we should have there in the bios? Maybe Rich or Eelco or Lee could help us with that.
I would say, I'll just chime in a little bit and see who else wants to answer this. But first of all, the first 3 lines matter the most because they show up in a preview, in various types of previews of your profile. Like when you're in a list with other people, they'll see that initial part. So the initial part is very important. Like for me, I help entrepreneurs protect their ideas, like that. A lot of people see that and they instantly know what I'm about. And that's been extremely helpful, I feel, just having that initially there. And I would say what you have in your profile should reflect to some extent the type of conversations that you want to be in. So I mainly want to be involved in conversations about IP, and that's what my profile is focused on. I mean, I love music and I love playing music and all that, but I don't mention that anywhere because I'm not interested in being in conversations about that. I'm not interested in people saying, hey, you're a musician, like let's do this music room together. So I think part of what you want to have in there is it doesn't have to tell your whole life story, but tell the story that you want to be part of your Clubhouse experience. I'm done speaking.
Another thing that I would definitely add is, so what you eventually want to have is that people that follow you on Clubhouse or check your profile is get them off of Clubhouse and get them into your own world. So for example, your mailing list. And one of the things you can do, I see a lot of people putting a lot of URLs in their bio, but it's not native. So it's not native to go to your bio and then go to your browser and put in the URL and put in a name and the email address. But what's very native with Clubhouse is people sending you a DM on Instagram. So what I would suggest is if you have something that you can offer for free. So for example, I have an ebook with 70 strategies on how to grow on Clubhouse. What I say during my rooms, well, it doesn't matter what I say during my rooms. We're talking about the bio. What I have in my bio is if you would like to have 70 strategies about growing on Clubhouse, send me the word 70 on Instagram and I'll send you, I'll give you access to my ebook. So instead of putting links, and you can put some links, but don't have high expectations of it, but always have something to offer for free in your bio by having them send you a DM with a certain code word. So then you can follow up with them and get them on your list, for example.
Absolutely. Those are great tips. And Tarna, one of the things that I've been learning is to put your bio in your notes, right? Go ahead and fill your bio out in your notes. And you could actually have 3 or 4 or 5 different bios. And then depending on what room you're in, you can cut and paste and put your bio. So recently I've been doing a lot of rooms around NFTs and digital art, which is completely different than other things that I do. So I have a separate bio when I go in those rooms with links to digital art and different things that I'm doing. So it's really easy to cut and paste. And the other thing is when you look at other people's bios, look at things that you like about theirs and kind of incorporate that. Rich was really right around those top 3 lines are so important. That's your billboard, your real estate. If you're in a club, if you're a member of someone's club, they're only going to see the top 2 lines. And I do think another thing that we should all do is put the Genius Network in there so that when you're in a room and you're searching for people to join you, if you search Genius Network rather than names, all the Genius Network people would come up. Like me, I have Brain Optimizer in there because John Asroff, when he does things, he'll do Brain Optimizer and then he'll invite everyone in who has that. So we could do something like that with Genius Network, make it one word or something so that if you do a search, all of your Genius Network friends come up and then you can invite them in a room with you.
Lee, how do you actually do the copy and paste in your bio when you're on your phone? What are you actually doing?
You just pull up your bio and then 2 things. Hold down your picture and easily just put in another picture. I just put pictures all the time. When I'm in Ron Gutman's room, we switch pictures all the time. So that's a really fun thing to do. But the other thing is you just go and touch your bio and you can update it. So if you have it in notes, you can copy the whole thing and then
so you open your notes app, you copy the new bio. You come in, delete, paste. So you're just using notes to manage the bio as well.
Yeah, because you could have 5, 6, or 10 bios in there. You could have one for business, and then just cut and paste them and update them in. It's easier to update in notes and bring it over than it is to do it in here.
Okay, good tip. Thank you.
Anybody else has a question?
Is use emojis. It's part of the culture here. Is that this plain text is not that interesting. The people tend to put emojis in their profile, and I think it seems to have benefit in terms of making the profile more attractive.
I mean, in this room right now, an example for me, if I wanted to be seen and Eelco didn't know me, I could put in my first line, like, I'm a fan of yours, Eelco, or something, so that if he looks at my bio, he's like, oh, this person's tuned in right now. Or you can put in something about the conversation this minute. So, like, when I'm in the NFT rooms or I'm in the digital real estate rooms, I might be selling .clubs or .live URLs right now. And I have a list of all of them. I have 200 of them, and I'll put them in there, and people will bid and do auctions right in real time. But I only have it in notes. I bring it over as needed, and then I put it back when I don't need it.
What if we collectively decide to all put fan of Eelco in your bio? Like that would be like very easy searchable. So I think that's a great idea, Lee. Thank you.
And Eelco is a unique word that you won't find elsewhere. So just having the word Eelco in there, will.
I like where this is going. Or
you can use eel.co.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, that's a web address that Eelco owns, which I think is so clever. eel.co.
Anybody else has a question?
Eelco, it's John again. Just thinking about, like, I always like to think in terms of outcomes. So getting a following, having rooms, creating conversations and traffic. How should we be thinking about then kind of the outcomes that should be, creating? Is it about building your list? Is it about, to Lee's point, converting right in the room? And I'm just kind of thinking through different ways that we should be, again, not as the intent, but some things that make it worth having, an investment of time here. How do you think about that?
Yeah, so for example, I know that you entered the challenge of the 221 videos in 2021. So for example, one of the outcomes could be that, for example, 5 times per week or 4 times per week, you'll do a room where you teach a topic about exiting a business or buying businesses. So you teach one small topic and you record yourself with a video where you're teaching that topic. And then you open up the room to answer questions about that topic, and you'll have great conversation. So there's multiple outcomes. Outcome number 1, for example, you have a great video that you can put on YouTube. Other outcome is that you offer a lot of value. Other outcome is that people see like, man, this guy has a lot of knowledge. So they might send you a DM, connect with you. Maybe they can work with you. Maybe you can help them exit their business. So there's a lot of different outcomes if you do it well, if you strategically do it well. And also when you really make the commitment, like, okay, I'm going to do this. So when you make the commitment, like, I'm going to do this, then there will be a lot of, as Dan Sullivan would say, strategic byproducts. And if you want to brainstorm about that in person, just let me know. I'm happy to help, John.
I also add that there's lots of different levels to it, and there's just so much engagement and social connection. I mean, it's almost like thing like in a mastermind, like Genius Network. Like, what's the outcome going to be? And there could be all types of outcomes, including direct clients that you connect with. It could be like people inviting you to speak at their events. It could be just like long-term friendships. Like, so it's kind of similar in that respect, that there's different outcomes that you can, that will happen and that you could optimize for. You know, like I had, like someone, I met a few people on my podcast I met a few people on Clubhouse that I've had on my podcast now. Last week's episode, I interviewed someone who sold a company for $1.1 billion, and I met him through this platform. He introduced me to Joe DeSena, which many people here know from Spartan Networks. I'm going to have him on my podcast on Monday, which, you know, I didn't have access to him before, but that came through just through Clubhouse. And so there's lots of different ways, you know, and then just another dimension to it. Like, one thing I've been doing for a very long time with regards to supporting my IP business is I give away free copies of my book. And so in a typical month, maybe about 10 people would contact me for a copy of my book. Through Clubhouse, it's been about 150 a month now. So, you know, these are all long-term leads, just people that I'm giving information to, and some of them may come back to me one day as a client, but that's a tremendous amount of engagement right there. And so there's lots of different channels, and Eelco's been really intentional about optimizing the traffic and results that he wants. But I guess the point is that it's all available. It just depends on how you choose to optimize it.
Yeah, Rich, I appreciate that. I probably should have given some context to the question. One of our company core values at Line 5 is deliver value with no expectation of return. And I believe that personally as well, very deeply, actually. And so I end up on literally dozens of calls a week, one-on-one, and then we get to the end of the call and there's kind of there was no forethought, and it drives my team crazy. Like, could you just capture like an email, or, you know, could you just do something that, you know, creates some value? And that was the context from which I asked. The question was, I'm all about value with no expectation of return, but the strategic byproducts tend to spill over the sides for me. So that's how I was asking it. So that was really helpful. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, John. Anybody else has a question?
What are you seeing, Eelco and Fernando? What are you guys seeing for the future of Clubhouse? Because I'm seeing so many people figuring things out. Some people are spending more time on. Some people are spending less time on. What are you thinking? And by the way, I think there's an article in the New York Times today. It's been in Wired Magazine and Bloomberg this week. I mean, it's really taken off all over.
Yeah, I think audio only is here to stay. So the whole feature of Clubhouse, I think that's here to stay. I don't know 100% sure if Clubhouse is here to stay, just as we didn't know that Friendster or MySpace was here to stay, and now there's Facebook. So I truly feel that this feature itself is so unique, it's so valuable, the level of connection, like there's so many benefits to this function. So I'm like 100% certain that this function will be here to stay, but you never know. I mean, if Facebook starts a new app, or Instagram or Twitter or YouTube, or a better new other app appears with better options or whatever, it might lose from a competitor. But Clubhouse itself, or the feature itself, it's definitely here to stay. And I'm not like I'm going all in on Clubhouse. I'm really committed. Like I'm doing this. but I'm not afraid of other platforms creating a feature like this as well. I see more possibilities then, but I'm very curious how things will work out with Clubhouse.
I'd say we're still engaging a very small part of the population. It's still technically in beta. It's not open to the public. There is, I mean, it's literally a 100th of a percent of the world that's on this app. I don't know if I did the math correctly, but it's something like that. So even if the audience shifts to another platform, or there's, or let's say Twitter opens up their Spaces app and there's 50 million users on that doesn't take away from the 7 million, let's say, that are on this. So it's just very interesting. I mean, we're still dealing with a very, very small part of the overall market that's on this.
What do you think, Fernando? Sorry to interrupt. What do you think, Fernando?
He might have stepped off.
Yeah,
I know in the post they're talking about TikTok is what TV used to be, and this is what radio used to be. And I will say, I was with my team, and we were sitting around and listening, and it did feel like old-time radio and having discussions and stuff. It was really fun. What about you, BJ? Because you've been in here so much and in so many interesting rooms. What are you thinking of the future of this, and for you especially?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think Eelco's assessment is very good. This format will exist, keep going. And we don't know who the main players will be. I love the vibe of Clubhouse. I love how the founders talk about it in their vision. It's very encouraging to listen to the town hall they do on Sundays. It was one of them about 3 weeks ago, maybe it was 4 weeks ago, that made me decide that my next class at Stanford is going to be about using Clubhouse to help people create good habits. And it was really the attitude of the founders and how they thought about this platform that made me say, yep, I'm in, sort of like you, Eelco. I was like, I'm all in, but for slightly different reasons, but I decided to go for it. That means the class, my whole class this year is about this. It's a wonderful platform for teaching and learning. Pop in, learn stuff, and then if you have stuff to teach and you like to teach, there's no easier way to do it. You just click a few buttons and people show up in your room and you just start teaching. One thing we tested with Tiny Habits was, could I run a 5-minute session on Clubhouse, help people create tiny habit recipes, hear a couple of them on the stage comment, and do it again? And the answer was yes. I did a 5-minute cycle 6 times in a row, which were like great little units. And I was like, yep. And so a number of my Tiny Habits coaches are on Clubhouse. Some are probably here in the audience, actually. They're doing an amazing job teaching and coaching, and I will listen from the side, and I try not to pipe up. They are so very good. They're getting such good experience teaching in real time like this, and also they're really showing their expertise. So if you have a team of people that teach your stuff, man, empower them to teach it here. Now, there's no direct monetary gain from that, but there's just the satisfaction of doing it that's just extraordinary.
That's a great idea. Thank you. Anybody else has a question on stage?
And by the way, like part of
Rich, I try to keep the awkward silence going on as long as possible till somebody says something, Rich. But it didn't work. But go ahead, Rich. I'm just.
Yeah, and see, that actually goes perfectly into my point. Is like someone was asking about moderating and how do you moderate, and part of the art of moderating is kind of like you have a bunch of people that can't see each other and make visual cues, kind of knowing when to chime in, when to stop talking to let someone else speak. And it works better than you'd expect to have like 30, 50 people on stage that could each unmute their microphone at any moment and start speaking. But I think there's a bit of an art to it of trying to know when you ought to chime in and when I ought to shut up. I'm done speaking.
So if anybody from the audience has a question, raise your hand and we're gonna answer some questions. Doesn't necessarily. Let's keep it to the topic of Clubhouse. Anybody else has a question? I heard somebody unmute.
Eelco, it's Tim Kahn again. One more question from me, and then I'll stop asking. As we're going through all this and talking through things, I'm exploring the app, and I see that I can search for different types of rooms or clubs, different things. So, I mean, because I'm in the franchise industry, selling franchises as a franchisor, I found that there's 3 groups that are related to franchising. So, does it make sense to find groups like that and that are in the industry that we're in, to learn more about those industries, or what's the best way to find the best rooms to go to get the best value?
Tim, first of all, in the franchise industry, do you know George Knopf? I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. And Eric Van Horn, because they're 2 people that are on this app that are deeply into the franchise world, and so they're people that I suggest collaborating with.
Yeah, actually, I saw both their names were affiliated with both of the clubs or the rooms that I saw.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just one thing is like putting it out there and connecting with people like-minded in that manner. You could also search, when you search people's profiles, you can search by keywords like franchise, and you come up with certain suggestions. And then there's the added benefit of having your Instagram connected to your profile, that you could direct message people and just try and grow those collaborations, and ask them if they'd like to do a room together and start like that. I mean, it usually happens fairly organically on this app. I'm done speaking.
Thank you. So Melissa from the room, you have a question, Melissa. You raise your hand.
Hi, Eelco. Thanks so much. It's so great to be here and learning from you. I just actually had a share, and I didn't come in at the beginning, but I heard people talking about being interrupted by your phone. And I just wanted to say, I learned in another room that if you have an old iPhone, it makes a lot of sense to download the Clubhouse app if you're on a Wi-Fi. Then you won't be disturbed by any incoming messages or any incoming phone calls. And that has been a game changer as I have moderated rooms. So I just wanted to share that. That's all. I'm done speaking.
That's great advice. Thank you. I see.
Just to add something to that, I'll add something to that quick in terms of like not wanting to be interrupted. And if you're moderating a room, one thing I've done, which I don't know if many others have done, is I actually have an Ethernet connection to my iPad. I got an adapter that lets me connect my phone to Ethernet, and then it basically gives me a hard line to a hardwired connection to the internet, which prevents you from dropping out when in the middle of speaking. So just another tip in that same regard.
I see. Thank you, Rich. I see Andre. What's up, Andre?
Hey, brother. How you guys doing?
Good. Where you at?
I just went to Denver, Colorado, on the way to Vail.
Nice. Getting your hustle on.
I'm going to do a retreat with some NFL players around anger management and stuff like that.
Amazing. What are your thoughts on Clubhouse?
It's a wonderful tool. I'm glad you're here to help me learn how to use it. That's been my issue, finding the time to get the hacks. And I know that's what you do, and I know Howard's down there, and I know a lot of people on there getting their hacks, which is the whole thing, to know how to maximize it to get the most out of it.
Cool.
It's definitely a great tool.
Cool. Thank you. Anybody else has a question on stage?
Hey, Eelco, maybe just to reset the room really quick, we do have some other Genius Network members in the audience. If you want to raise your hand and come up to speak, I know we had Howard Getson here and Marcus and a number of others. If you guys want to come up and ask any questions, now's the time. We've got some Clubhouse pros here for you.
Howard is coming up.
Hey, it's Howard. I have a Clubhouse virgin. This is my very first time on the platform. So my question is there a way to see who attended your room? So if you invite, you can tell whether people came. Can you tell who left early? Is there any of that stuff built into the platform yet?
Rich or Lee?
No, there's not.
No, not that I know. I'm very interested in starting a community and one of the things Dan Sullivan says is in order to be an expert on a platform like this, the trick is not to try to give people all the answers, but it's to be the moderator and facilitate the questions. So in a sense, your brand promise is to have elevated conversations about the topic. And I was trying to figure out whether Clubhouse is a good place to do that, or maybe it's better as a supplementary tool, kind of for ad hoc or extra, rather than the primary platform.
Well, my Tiny Habits coaches have stepped up and done a great job of coaching and training each other, not just in Clubhouse, but also just learning from each other how to coach in real time using audio only. And that has just been amazing to see. And then with my Stanford class, I'll be exploring other kinds of community, because we're going to go outside the class and bring in people from all over the world and so on. So we'll see. It might be a massive failure that way, but at least what I've seen so far with the Tiny Habits coaches, which is not a huge community, but they have worked quite independently from me, and I've tried to step aside and let them really share and teach their awesomeness.
Thank you. Any other questions? I see.
Hey, Eelco, this is Marcus.
Hey, Marcus.
Thank you for this. Thank you for this. This is amazing. My question has to do with, and thank you to all of you that have been giving such great ideas. My question is converting our list to followers on Clubhouse. If you could speak more to that, please.
Yeah, so it's if you would send a mail to your list and say like, hey, I'm going to do a room on Clubhouse, you will get some people on Clubhouse, but you will also get like a gazillion emails back like, oh, I don't have an invite, or I don't have an Android, or sorry, I don't have an iPhone. What we are doing, and I shared this strategy like an hour ago, and we've been going on for a long time now. So I hope this is valuable for everybody. If you think this is valuable, please press the plus sign at the bottom right and invite one or two of your friends who definitely need to get these strategies as well. So one of the things that you can do is, instead of inviting everybody on your list like, hey, come to my Clubhouse room, create a post on one of your social media channels. So it could be Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, where you have the invitation, and then in your caption you say like, if you need an invite or if you have an invite, please let us know in the comments below. And this might become your most engaged post on your social media, because a lot of people have invites and a lot of people are searching for invites, and in the comment section they help each other. And so that's one step in between. So I would recommend, instead of sending a mail to your list like, hey, go here, I would send a mail to your list to a social media post and have people share their invites or ask for invites. And then you'll have, first of all, you'll have more people in your room, but also you have a lot of engagement on your social media post. And people love it. People love it and hate it, because a lot of people also are missing out because maybe they don't have an iPhone or whatever. But you are one of the first in your marketplace that is doing Clubhouse rooms. So that makes you unique as well, and it creates top of mind awareness. So whenever your clients are thinking about Clubhouse, they're thinking about you because you gave them the opportunity to hand out an invite or get an invite, get their first in their first Clubhouse room, maybe to get on stage for the first time. So it does a lot of it's very beneficial for the mental real estate that you own with your clients.
One last question, Eelco. Thank you for that. Is there any notion of when they're going to be expanding beyond iPhones?
They're working on it. I don't know when they're ready, but I think it will take a long time, because as far as I know, it's still a small team. And the last thing I heard, but maybe I'm wrong, is that they don't even have Android developers yet. But I'm not sure. But it will probably take a while.
Perfect. Thank you for all this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Marcus. Anybody else has a question?
One thing, yeah, this is Anna.
One thing that I wanted to ask is, when you get invites, do you think it doesn't make sense to sort of offer it to your list or those people in social media, because you're basically responsible until the end of time for whatever it is they do?
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't have like 1,000 invites. You'll have a couple. So like maybe like I think I right now have like 5 invites, and I would only give my invites to people that I trust. It's something that's very special, important as well. If you, for example, at random give your invite to somebody that's a troll or that is abusing the platform or does things that are harmful on the platform, you're connected to that person. So I would only invite people that I trust, and also a great strategy to grow. So for example, if you go to my profile at the bottom, you see nominated by Cameron Harold. And I'm pretty sure that Cameron, I don't know how many new followers he got because he nominated me, but he probably got some. So if you have your invites, it's also a good idea to invite people that you know, or maybe that you think of that they could likely become big on Clubhouse. So you get that following as well.
Yeah, I did that with my first like 20 or 30 invites, and now I've kind of run out of everybody I know. So I just, if anybody knows wonderful people that do need them, I have a lot piled up.
Perfect. Any other questions?
I've actually seen people selling their invites on eBay. I mean, it's really interesting to see that happen. And the other thing we were talking earlier about, like, how do you invite in a lot of people? You could use your first invite as a chain for a group. So if you have a mastermind, you can create a chain that the first person you invite invites the next one, invites the next one until you get through your entire list. That makes it a lot easier to extend the life of your invites as well.
Let me see. Let me mute. So
let me chime in with. So I haven't yet emailed my email list and said, "Hey, follow me on Clubhouse," because I just think there's too many people that can't join, and I don't want to frustrate them. But I did post it to Twitter and had a kind of a weird experience. I would say 3 or 4 people reacted quite negatively. And I think it's because they're Android users or they feel left out, or I don't know what it was. It's just odd. So I got not a lot of positive stuff, but just some blowback. And my conclusion from that, or the thing that helped me really see, is because I've been on Clubhouse so much and it's so friendly and it's nice for the most part. Twitter is bitter.
Yeah.
Twitter is mean.
Yeah.
Twitter is harsh. And I'm spending a lot less time there because it just, Eelco, you said this up front and early. There's something really nice and personal and connecting about Clubhouse. And it's made me see Twitter in a new light.
Yeah, it is special. I mean, it's just good vibes. And again, I'm on this thing a lot, and I've had hundreds of conversations, and I have no negative experiences. It's all good vibes. And obviously, sometimes you get a little bit annoyed by somebody who's talking too much or too long or whatever, but that's like the worst case. And so yeah, it's very special. Anybody else has a question?
I got a comment, if that's all right. It's Dan from PageSpeed Optimized. So, Eelco, one of the first pieces of advice you've given us today is to get a second phone, right? And then I forget the lady's name just before said get an older iPhone because that stops interruptions coming in. So if everyone's thinking we'll get a second phone, the iOS and Android barrier isn't there. If you get an old iPhone just for Clubhouse, then you can use your Android separately, right?
Yeah, that's what so if I talk to entrepreneurs and they see the opportunity of Clubhouse and they'll be like, yeah, but I can't access because I don't have an iPhone. I'm like, well, maybe invest like $200 in a second-hand iPhone and just use it as a Clubhouse phone. So I actually
or 70, you can get an iPhone 6 and use that.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure about the operating system, like which version. There is a certain version that you need for a Clubhouse, but I agree. Like this, and you're on Zoom right now, so you can see this. But like this is an old, cracked up iPhone, and I had this one.
No kidding.
Sorry.
I said no kidding.
Yeah.
I can see.
So this one was laying in the drawer. I didn't even know that I had this one, and so this is my Clubhouse phone. So anytime, so right now I'm in my office, and if I go home in like after this room, I just keep it here, and it's not on my normal phone. So yeah, that's a lifesaver. So I highly recommend if you're an entrepreneur, if you value your time and your energy, just definitely get a second phone and use it as a Clubhouse phone if you are sensitive to it. So for me, I'm very sensitive to social media, and I just have it on a second phone. For me, it's been a lifesaver. So my average screen time is 4 hours and 43 minutes, and I mean, yes, that's a lot of time, but I'm like the last couple of hours that we're doing this room, that's added to the screen time. So it's I think that's for me, it's very important to have a second phone, so I can just put it in a drawer when I go back home.
Absolutely. I learned a lot about this because my first phone absolutely blew up so much that it was interrupting my play and my work. And so I added a second profile on a second phone, and that's this one, my Go Ask Me profile. And Rich, I want to thank you so much because when I first added it, you wrote me and said, I want to make sure nobody's copying you. So he was looking out for me. But what I did was I added one as a personal and one as a business, and I'm switching everything over to the business as much as possible. And I see a lot of people actually using iPads as well, where they'll use an iPad so that it doesn't interrupt their flow on their phone. The only thing that I recommend to people is before you go on to Clubhouse, make sure you download your tell people to make sure they download their contacts so that when they come in, they can populate with their friends. Otherwise, if you don't do it in the beginning, you miss the opportunity to do that.
Thank you. That's great. Any other questions?
Hey, Eelco, and anyone else here on this stage, any tips for how we name the room? It always seems that the rooms are more based on the particular topic, not necessarily company names, but if there are any pro tips, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I would highly recommend think like a copywriter, like what grabs the attention. And in this case, I put geniusnetwork.com Clubhouse Q&A. So, I mean, this is sort of an insider thing, but also I think it's just the name geniusnetwork.com is compelling. And Clubhouse Q&A, it's something that's compelling as well. It's not the most compelling headline. Yeah, think about like what grabs the attention, and also think about emojis, because emojis stand out in the title of your room. One of the small things that I do, and this is not relevant for most of us in Genius Network, but because I'm from Holland, I put the flag of Holland and the flag of Belgium, because those are two Dutch-speaking countries. And so if people go through the hallway, they see the Dutch flag and they're like, oh, that's a Dutch room. But that's, again, not relevant for most of us. But think about like which emojis are captivating and compelling. And so what I do, for example, when I do my rooms during the afternoon at 2 p.m., I, for example, say 10 ways to, or 7 strategies to, or 12 techniques to, and then insert a technique. So, for example, today I did 10 ways to become an effective, journaling 101, how to become great at journaling, 10 ways to journal, something like that. And that's, that's about the topic itself, and it's about the teaching, and that works well.
Thank you. That is really helpful. And I just wanted to underscore a suggestion you had given us a little bit ago that ties into what you were just saying. Every title you just suggested really sounds like what we've been learning from Evan Carmichael on the YouTube titles.
Yeah.
So videoing yourself and duplicating or even triplicating your time by then turning that into emails or blogs. That's fascinating. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
The other thing is, I think putting the word Clubhouse in has been really great because people want to learn more about Clubhouse. So just seeing the word Clubhouse is actually interesting to people. And the other thing is, if you have any celebrities or names that would be highly recognized to add that as well. There's a lot of rooms that have been popping up. That's what Craig Clemens is doing, is really focusing on celebrities, and that makes the room go big pretty quickly. We had Greg Louganis on yesterday, and for the first hour, he wasn't even on. He came on the second and third hour, but we built the audience for him. And then when he came on, the audience was ready. So just to let you know, they don't have to be on the whole time. You can, have a specific time they join you.
Thank you. Any other questions? And maybe we can go to like the end of the room, like we're about to close, and I would like to ask some of you, maybe on stage or maybe off stage in the room itself, if you want to share what you learned, like what's one or two of the things that you learned that are valuable to you that you can apply. I would like to start off with the people on stage itself, but if you want to share, just raise your hand. It's always for some of us, it's frightening to raise our hands because like it's a big group and a lot of great entrepreneurs, and maybe you're afraid that you say something wrong or whatever, but just know that this is a safe space. And also, if you think this is terrifying for you, like the best way to get out of, to grow is to make small steps. And if you want to eventually start rooms yourself, you have to be on stage, obviously. So this is a great way to exercise as well. So just raise your hand. And the last thing that I want to say about that is that if you are open for miracles and you would like to get more opportunity, the best way is to just raise your hand, get on stage, because you never know when you're on stage. People click your profile, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people will follow you, maybe one person will DM you, and maybe you will have a baby in 3 years. I don't know. You never know, but you got to be open for miracles. And the only way to be open for miracles and to increase your chances of miracles is to just get on stage and see what's happening. So I saw a lot of amazing things happen. So just raise your hand and we'll get you on stage. But we'll start with the people that are on stage right now. Who wants to share, like, what's one thing that you learned before we're going to end this room? Ellie?
Hey, it's Tim Connigan. Just absolutely amazing stuff that you guys put together here today. So thank you to you and Rich and Genius Network for putting this together today. I mean, Genius Network, whenever we all come together, we're always sharing amazing ideas that can help not only us in the group, but today everyone that's in the audience listening. And it's just been fantastic. I mean, for me as a brand new user, you covered the very basic things, which as a new user, I knew absolutely nothing, and some very high level things. So there's just a ton of stuff that you guys covered today, and I'm super excited about the platform and figuring out how to use it and using it to benefit our company. So thank you very much. Thank you, Tim. Ali.
Yes, I think my biggest takeaway was the consistency. People are going to follow us, especially if we don't have clubs today. They're going to follow us same time, same place. And I think that's going to drive a good following. So consistency and provide value.
Thank you.
My takeaways.
Thank you. Who's next? You can just unmute yourself and happy to listen. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Eelco, this is Tim. I appreciate learning about the importance of 3 lines in the bio and leads. Great idea about having different bio personas, if you will, and notes and cutting and pasting. I thought that was brilliant. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, Tim. So we'll do 5 more shares and then we'll end the room. So who wants to share? Go ahead.
It's okay if I share a couple observations I had in rooms that were surprises.
Sure.
So this is Lee, and I've been in some really interesting rooms. And I was actually leading a room, and we had about 3,000 people in there. And we had someone come in who, Grant Cardone said, "You go out and raise $10,000 and I'll match it." And when she came in the room, she had already raised $4,500. And in the room, we finished raising her $10,000. She had a great mission. She was absolutely helping people in her mission. So not only did we raise the $5,500 in crowdfunding, but we also had crowdsourcing, and all these coaches jumped in to help coach her. And what I saw was in real time how many people really genuinely wanted to help. And then when it was something that was worthwhile, how it really created the whole room to want to participate. So that was one thing. And another thing was I was in a room with Shanda Sumner, and we had another woman who came in who was homeless and had 5 kids, and she was telling a story how she was a chef and she didn't have a place to work. And we did some crowdsourcing for her. We raised $4,000 to help her get a house and get her kids settled right away. And then people came in and coached her on how to change her business. So there are things happening in real time that no one could have anticipated ahead of time, but it created so much excitement in the audience. And then people came back and told her stories a week later on how it affected them. So I just wanted to give you ideas of it's not just about one-way conversations. It's really about collaboration at a higher level if you want it to be.
Thank you. Joke, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Eelco, and the rest of the people here. It's exciting for me because I'm a really small entrepreneur, and now I'm 2 weeks on Clubhouse, and I'm constantly every work day through the week on 4 o'clock I'm live on Clubhouse, and that gives me now 659 followers. And on Instagram I have 700 something, and I did for the 700 I had to do it the whole year. So that's the difference, and that's the takeaway what I learned from Eelco earlier in those days also, and the other entrepreneurs. So that was really interesting for me. And what I take away from this room is to make a better giveaway and put it in my bio and have a better funnel after that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joke, and great job.
Can I?
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, it's Jamie Hope here. How you doing? I forgot to put my Be Right Back sign when I had to step out for a few minutes, but amazing room. And so I'd love to just amplify what it's like to be in a room with somebody like you who is super experienced and super amazing, like Lee Richter, who is Go Ask Lee, like Brianna Greenspan running the Miracle Morning Rooms every day, and BJ Fogg, like hearing these experts, Rich Goldstein, Paris Lampropoulos, you learn how to read the room, which is so fascinating. We're so used to seeing our faces. We're so used to seeing comment boxes scrolling by. And it really helps you simplify and get in and listen. And so by following you into some of the rooms that I've been in and some of these other great people, you learn the culture. You learn how to use it to its best effort. And the coolest thing is, how else could all of us be in a room right now on a phone having a conversation? And the way that this app brings people together is just so incredible. Thank you for all of the great work that you're doing and for bringing this room together and creating this space for us. I really appreciate being a part of it today.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. Amazing. Sandra, go ahead.
Yes, I echo what Jamie said, and I have found that just personally, by just taking risks and jumping in to speak, has been really effective. So finding rooms that are different interests, as we said before, I really want to reinforce that. I have loved the Daily Smile. That was one of my first things that I did. It's a half hour every morning, 8:30. Ron Gottman, if you want to hear a great moderator who makes everybody feel welcome, and he will say, "Oh, here's Sandra. She trains health coaches." So he'll click on the bio before somebody speaks. So he gives that little intro. So he's an amazing moderator. I would encourage everybody to check out Daily Smile and just go up and talk about something that made you happy that day. And I'm Sandra, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Sandra. Last one. Who wants to share? Who would like to share what's your biggest takeaway from this room today? No pressure. You know that if you're the last, you have to be amazing. Like you're finishing this group, it has to be unbelievable. So I understand the pressure. So who dares to do this?
Well, I'm just going to tell anybody who wants to speak on the Growth Network, they can DM me that they want to speak, and I'll send them a link so that they can be part of the regular meetings that we're having and the wake up treatment of coming in as an expert. And I want to offer that to anyone in Genius Network, that we want to highlight you and your genius and bring you to the audience. So feel free to send me a note directly. I'm happy to make that connection for you.
Thank you, Lee. So for everybody who's been listening, thank you for listening. everybody who's in Genius Network, thank you for being here, and thank you for the great participation. If you're not in Genius Network, check it out, geniusnetwork.com. Definitely download the podcast. So there's a great podcast that Joe is doing with Dean Jackson, and it's called I Love Marketing. And it's a great podcast with hundreds of episodes with a lot of legendary marketers, legendary entrepreneurs, great conversations between Dean and Joe and other Genius Network members. So if you want to get into the world of Genius Network, that's a great entry. That's how I got familiar with Joe and Genius Network. And if you're an entrepreneur and you want to go to the next level and you're already in business and rocking it, and you want to be with like-minded people, there's not a better group than Genius Network. So go to geniusnetwork.com if you are interested. So thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for joining. And let's talk in another room. Take care and have a good day. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for doing this, Eelco.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Is this thing still on?
That was okay. I mean,
wait.
it was okay. Actually, a question I wanted to ask Eelco is, how do you know when to end it?
That's a good question. Wait, I hear myself. There's well, you could say like, oh, we go for an hour, which is something we didn't do right now because I wanted to be flexible in this situation. But you sort of notice when the energy drops a little bit. So I don't know. You can do it intuitively. I did it now intuitively. Like, okay, I think like we covered most of the questions, and I think a lot of us, we want to get back to work or back to our day to day. So two things: you can just be open and be intuitive about it, or you can schedule like, oh, we'll do an hour or 90 minutes or 30 minutes or even 10 minutes. So those are two options.
Very good.
I'm glad everything worked out well with the technical stuff.
That was great.
That was a challenge to go from.
Not only technically, but that was really great. That was so cool to experience live. Susan Gilbert even liked it, didn't you, Susan?
For the little bit that I was on, I had to leave to go to the doctor's, look up my spiffy new reading glasses.
Nice.
But I got the tail end, and I was so excited to see that it's being recorded on Facebook so that now I can go back and see what I missed. But yeah, I've been barely tipping my toe in the water called Clubhouse, and have everybody do this together, even though I was in just at the beginning and now at the end. It's very exciting to me. Cool.
What did you think, Darna?
I thought it went seamless. We tried to do that on the Titans group, and it was so much more of a crazy time. So I think you just pulled that off so well. And the information you gave us at the beginning, thank you for being willing to share those slides with us and everybody, because we have so many things that we can fold into that to help bring the Genius Network message to the world. And so we're just so grateful that you took so much time out of your day, your afternoon, your evening, to be here with us and to help us kind of get into the pool we've been putting our toe into, Susan. So that was awesome. And it was, I think the best part was hearing how many Genius Network members, this was their first time. And now they have all of the pro tips that they just earned about a month of time back. So thank you for that.
Yeah. It was a deep dive.
Yeah.
I have a question. Are you guys going to distribute this Zoom as something that we can go back and watch, or just go use the Facebook to rewatch? I want to watch it with some of my team and have them understand Clubhouse, because it's so hard to explain Clubhouse. Eelco, this was amazing. Thank you so much for doing it. I think it's so funny that you and I were in a small Genius breakout where you said, oh, I'm not doing Clubhouse. It's just you, me, and a few other people. Maybe Dan was in that room too. I can't remember. But then I see on Facebook a few days later, you're like, oh, I'm back on. And now you're crushing it. Dude, it's amazing. So Tarn, I'm not sure if this is going to be available.
It will be available. It'll take us a couple days to get it nice and cleaned up and all those pieces, but we'll be sending it out for you guys.
Awesome. And this is something I probably should have said when we were still on Clubhouse, because I found it really interesting. It was great to have all the members on stage because it was easy to like follow everybody. Like now, gotcha, you're all in one spot, I can follow you. And I was hitting bells for everybody too. And the app said, you're overusing this feature or something like that. And I can't adjust the bells now for anybody. I'm like, oh, okay, I have too many notify me that somebody's speaking. So I tried to like say, okay, don't notify me. And the app is just shutting me out. So like, I'm stuck with, I want to follow everybody and hear about it, but the app is like being weird about it. So
it may just take 24 to 48 hours for the app to reset. It may have felt that you were a bot moving too fast. So it just paused you. Yeah. I'm sure it'll be back.
Cool.
So I did what, my motivation for joining Clubhouse was seeing Eelco's post about how he's deleting it. That was my first one. And then Rich got me an invite in. And I think I went into 2 rooms and I quite agreed with the sentiment that I should just switch it off and not go on it. But I didn't remove it from my phone. And it's the busiest thing popping up with notifications.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that was, thanks, Eelco. That was a really good deep dive. I think we need to think about how we might use that moving forward.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.